All right, so y equals mx plus b. The slope is represented by the words per or each. The y-intercept, that's your initial value, right? So it might be like the starting value or a flat fee, something like that. Or it might even just say they began with or they started with. It's the beginning value, okay? It's the beginning value. So the next type of equation that we write linearly is in this form. This is standard form, okay? And we use this when we're given two variables and that's it. Like maybe two prices. Like maybe I tell you that I'm buying shirts and that equals one variable, and shoes, and that equals another variable. You're given two variable amounts. Okay, that's when we put it in standard form because we have two variables that we need to solve for. And then the last form is written like this. And I think that we did this on Friday. Y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1, but it might have even been on Monday. I don't know. Do you guys remember this one? Yeah, this is called point slope form. So that means I need an ordered pair. I need to have an ordered pair. And I need to have my slope, which again is represented by the word per, each, every, that. Okay. So that'll help you hopefully decide what type of equation you're going to write. We're going to use all three of them today within these four examples. So our first example, Justine has $4,500 in her savings account. She now has a car payment of $210 that she has to pay each month out of this account. So we have to identify what our variables mean. So I want to remind you, when you think about word problems, but especially when you think about linear problems, remember that if there's ever any kind of element of time, and when I say time, I mean hours, days, months, years, etc. Time is X. Time is always X, okay? So is there any kind of element or increment of time in this word problem? What is it? Each month. Yeah, month. So that means that we're going to let X equal the number of months. Okay. So let's talk about what she's starting with. What does she have in her account right now? Yeah, she's starting with 4,550. So what does that starting with amount represent? How much she starts with. It's her initial, it's the initial value. What is the initial value? It's B. It's your y-intercept, right? So that's your y-intercept. That is your y-intercept. Okay. So now we know that we're using this type of equation because we've identified a starting value. So we're using slope-intercept form. So now we have to find the slope. So do you see a dollar amount with per or each? What is she paying per month or each month? $210. So this is my slope. And because she's paying it, she's taking it out of her savings account to pay a bill. Are we going to add that or subtract it? This is a subtraction. So we're subtracting this, meaning that your slope is going to be negative. So I don't know if you guys can see that. It says subtract right here. I just want you to know that your slope is negative. You're paying bills. It's not getting added to your account. So what do you think the Y value is going to represent? Probably how much she has left in her. Yeah. So the Y value is the money in savings. It's her money in her savings. Okay. So we have M and we have B. Can we write an equation in slope-intercept form? Okay. What is it, Viviana? Well, that's got to be a negative. So you can write it as negative 210. What do we put next to slope? X. And how much do we start with? Good job. Plus 4,550. Typically, your brain doesn't think of it like that. This is how I wrote my equation. I wrote it as Y equals the amount that I started with, 4,550, minus the $210 per month. That makes more sense to my brain. It's a form of slope intercept, right? I just changed it. That makes sense to me. Either one of those are correct, right? As long as you have your slope negative, either one of those are correct. So Brandon, it says, how much will be in her account after 6 months? What is that really asking me? What's that really telling us to do? Multiply what? What variable represents the number of months? What variable right here says the number of months? X. So this is another way of saying let X equal 6. That's all it's saying. Just let X equal 6. So I'm going to restate mathematically what I'm going to do. I'm going to take $4,550, and from that, I'm going to subtract 210 times 6. That's what I'm going to do. But I have to show it algebraically. I have to substitute it in. So I'm actually going to write out the equation that we started with. Y equals negative 210 times 6 plus 4550, because I want to show it algebraically. What am I going to do to solve that? What do I need to do in my calculator, Owen? No, don't put it in Y equals. I just need to simplify this right here. So can you do that whole math? Negative 210 times 6 plus 4550. Tell me what you get. Negative 210 times 6 plus 4,550. What did you get? 3,290? Yeah. 3,290. Thank you guys. Okay. So that's how much money she's going to have in her account after 6 months. This word down here, it says I need a statement. What is that asking me for? Well, if you have a word problem or a sentence problem, you need to give a sentence answer. So the question is, how much will be in her account after 6 months? The answer is what, Kareem? It's got to be a statement. It can't just be like a number. We have to put a sentence together. So if I say to you, how much will be in her account after 6 months, you would say She has how much money? $3,290 in her account after 6 months. That's what it means by give a sentence or a statement answer. So in your function analysis, you guys had to write an equation and you had to define your variables. And one of them was about snowfall per hour, right? So it was like you started with 3 inches of snow and it was falling 2.5 inches per hour. And you had to define your variables. X is the number of hours. Y is the total amount of snow. And then you had to solve it and say what that meant. That meant that after 10 hours, you would have 28 inches of snow. You had to actually put together a statement. That's what this is asking. Is everybody good with that? Okay. I need everyone's heads up. Get your heads off your desk. It's not nap time. Pick your head up. It doesn't require that many muscles. How many months will it take to have $1,400 in her account? Michael, what is that really asking? I want to know when I'm going to have $1,400 in my account. What variable represents the amount of money in my account? Yeah, so this is just saying, hey, I need to let y equal 1,400. That's all it's saying. So I'm going to take my original equation, y equals negative 210x plus 4,550, and I'm going to replace my y with a 1,400. And I'm going to solve for x because how many months? That's x. How many months means tell me what x is. So Trinity, if you were going to solve for x, what would you do first? What would you move away from the x side of the equation? Subtract 4,550 from both sides. Can you grab your calculator and tell me what you get when you do that? So 1,400 minus 4,550. It's going to be a negative number. Negative 3,150 equals negative 210x. Thank you, ma'am. All right, Miss Emily, what am I going to do to get x all by itself? Yeah, divide by negative 210 on both sides. Good job. Emily, can you do that math for me and tell me what you get? Yes, ma'am. What does x represent? The number of, say it, months. All right. So Laurel, can you give us a statement? How many months will it take to have $1,400 in her account? Perfect. It will take 15 months to have $1,400 in her account. That was a perfect sentence. Thank you, ma'am. All righty. How are we feeling about that? Anybody need more time? Okay, next one. All right. Roger wants to be able to wrestle, at a higher weight class. He starts an eating regimen that will help him gain a half a pound or 0.5 pounds per day. After 20 days, he weighs 130 pounds. So let's define our variables first. Remember that X is time if there's an element of time. So Peyton, what does X represent? Is there an element of time in that question? Not pounds. I don't want pounds. I want time. So days. So we're just going to let X equal the number of days. X is the number of days. Remember, when you define your variable, you can't say specifically like it can't be 20 days or 10 pounds. It's got to be a variable, like an amount that can change, right? That's what a variable is. So X is the number of days. So the other only unit that we have in this word problem is what? Pounds. So let's let Y equal the number of pounds. Y is going to be the number of pounds. So let's talk about what we have. What do you think this gains 5 pounds per day is talking about? Is that really bothering you, bud? You can be okay down there? Okay. What does this gains 0.5 pounds per day? What does that word per mean? What do you think, Yvonne? We said per represents what? When we see the word per, it means slope. So my slope is 0.5. I am gaining weight. So am I adding? Is that going to be a positive slope or is it going to be a negative slope? It's going to be positive. Good job. Okay. So we know that our slope is 0.05. The only other information that we have in our word problem is 20 days and 130 pounds. 20 days, well, that sounds like an X coordinate. 130 pounds sounds like a Y coordinate. So what does that mean? That means we have an ordered pair. We have an X, which is 20, and we have a Y, which is 130. So what type of equation requires that we have an ordered pair and slope? What's it called? Point slope, yes. So when we have point slope form, here's the form of that. Y minus Y sub 1 equals M times the quantity of X minus X sub 1. So when you guys think about point slope form, remember we label our ordered pair X sub 1 comma Y sub 1. And all you're doing is taking the value that's labeled X sub 1 and you're plugging it in to your equation. You're taking your value that's labeled Y sub 1 and you're replacing that for Y sub 1 in your equation. And then you're going to bring down your slope. Okay. Lionel, I know there are lots of squiggly arrows there, but I think you can do it. So you're writing this equation right here, but you're not going to use Y sub 1, M, or X sub 1. So let's start off with the first term. What is that? Y minus what number, what coordinate is labeled, like what coordinate represents Y sub 1? That says X below it, right? Good job. Y minus 130 equals, what is my slope, or what value is M? Awesome. 0.5 times X minus What is the value of x sub 1? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. That's a great equation. Okay. So that's different, right? That looks different than what we had. This is written in point slope form. Okay. So our question says, how much did he weigh before he started the diet? That's like that's another way of saying at the beginning. Well, what does it mean when we say at the beginning? In terms of a algebraic equation, like the beginning value, what is that? The what? The y. It's the y-intercept. So we're really looking for the y-intercept. And I know that the y-intercept happens when x equals 0. That is so important. I know that the y-intercept happens when x equals 0. So all that means is I'm going to take this massive equation that we have here, and I'm going to get rid of this x, and I'm going to replace it with a 0. So I'm going to write out the equation first. Y minus 130 equals 0.5 times x minus 20. And now I have to let x equal 0. I need to find what the y value is when x equals 0. So y minus 130 equals 0.5 times 0 minus 20. Well, what is 0 minus 20? It's not 20. It's negative 20. So y minus 130 equals 0.5 times negative 20. Well, what is 0.5 times negative 20? What's half of negative 20? So y minus 130 equals negative 10. How do I get y all by itself? Add the 130 to both sides. So let's see. Y equals 120. So the question was, how much did he weigh before he started? Jordan, what's our statement going to be? How much did he weigh before he started? Yeah, he weighed 120 pounds. I put LBS for pounds. He weighed 120 pounds before he started. Perfect. All right. So the second part of this question says, hey, guess what? If he needs to weigh 145 pounds, how many days will he be on the diet? So we want his weight to be 145, and we're trying to figure out how many days. We're trying to solve for x, and we want y to equal 145. So Christian, I'm going to take that original equation, y minus 130 equals my slope, 0.5 times x minus 20. And I'm going to replace the y with 145. Okay. You got it, Christian? So tell me what that gives me. 145 minus 130 equals, and I'm going to distribute on this side. 0.5x, I heard you, sir, minus 10. So this is a positive 15, you said, Christian? So 145 minus 130 is 15. 15 equals 0.5x minus 10, Christian. What do you want to do to get x all by itself? What's on the same side of the equal sign as the x term? What do I have to move away? Yeah, I have to add 10 to both sides. So 25 equals 0.5x. Christian, how do I get x all by itself? What do I have to do? Divide by 0.5. So 25 divided by 0.5. 50, good job. So 50 equals x. And x is the number of what? Number of days. So Savannah, do you feel like you can give us a statement? Perfect. After 50 days, he weighs 145 pounds. I love that. That's perfect. So our first equation we wrote in slope-intercept form. This one we wrote in point-slope form. Probably we're going to have a standard form equation. We still need to have one of those, okay? So flip it over. Let's take a look at this next one. So Taco Shack is having a sale. Grand burritos cost $4 each, and deluxe tacos cost $3 each. As long as you spend $24 on purchasing either tacos or burritos. So describe what each variable represents. So the variable B, Catherine, what does the variable B represent? And it's how many of each, right? So how do we say that? B is the number of grand burritos. So what does T represent, Catherine? The what? Number of tacos. Number of deluxe tacos. Okay. So do you see that this is a type of equation that has two variables? Number of tacos, number of burritos. We don't have any information about the amount, just that we know that we need them, right? So we know how much each one costs, and we know the total that we need to spend. What's that equation going to look like, Coral? How much does a burrito cost? So 4 times each burrito plus how much does a taco cost? So plus $3 per taco or each taco. And how much money do I have to spend to get this price? So this is an equation in standard form. All right. So when you have an equation in standard form and you don't have a system, you're going to have to be given some kind of information, right? And it says, hey, if you order 3 burritos, how many tacos do you have to order? So what is that really saying? Yeah. Replace B with what? Yeah, let B equal 3. That's what it's saying. It's just saying let B equal 3. So I have 4B plus 3T equals 24. I'm just going to get rid of my B and put a 3 there. 4 times 3 plus 3T equals 24. Angeli, what is 4 times 3? So I have 12 plus 3T equals 24. Angeli, what am I going to do to get T all by itself? Subtract 12. That's perfect. I am going to subtract 12 from both sides. So 3T equals 12. Finish it up, Angeli. So how many tacos do we need to buy to get that discount? 4. So how many deluxe tacos do you have to order, Jacob? My statement is, yeah, you need to order 4 deluxe tacos. Does this make sense? Okay. So is it okay? Is everyone done with that? Can I slide up a little bit? If you ordered 4 deluxe tacos, how many grand burritos would you have to order? Bryce, what is this saying? So let T equal what? Yeah, let T equal 4. So taking my original equation, 4B plus 3T equals 24. And now I'm replacing the T with a 4. 4B plus 3 times 4 equals 24. And that's not a very original question because it's the opposite of what we just did, right? 4B plus 12 equals 24. Bryce, finish it up for us. Perfect. 4B equals 12. Divide both sides by 4. And Bryce said B equals 3. So Bryce, how many grand burritos would you have to order? Perfect. I just like writing grand burritos. I don't know why. It's fun. You need to order 3 grand burritos. Okay, we have one more example, and I'm going to take volunteers for this one. So the quicker we volunteer, the faster we'll get through it, because I've gone through everyone in the class, called everyone's name at least once. A swimming pool already contains 180 gallons of water. What does this represent? Already contains 180 gallons of water. The initial value. You guys are amazing. So I heard the initial value. I also heard y-intercept. So can I put that it means B? You guys good with that? Okay. So it already contains 180 gallons of water when Jeremy begins to fill it. Water flows in the pool at a rate of 8 gallons per minute. What does 8 gallons per minute represent? My slope, M equals 8. Am I filling my pool or draining my pool? I'm filling, so my slope is positive. If I were draining it, my slope would be negative. Okay. Let's talk about X. Is there a unit of time in this problem? And if so, X needs to be the number of whatever that unit is. So is there a unit of time in this problem? What is it? Minutes. So number of minutes. Remember, don't include the number. That number is a constant. That just gives us a idea of how fast it's going, but we're just looking for the variable. What does y represent? Gallons. Number of gallons of water. All right, who's got the equation for me? Someone raise your hand. No shout outs. Hand up. Anyone? Michael. Yeah, y equals 180 plus 8x. Perfect. 180 is my initial value, 8 times my x value, my slope. Find the volume of water in the pool 25 minutes after Jeremy begins. What does that mean? Let x equal 25. So y equals 180 plus 8 times 25. Who's going to calculate that for us? Who's got their handy dandy calculator ready to go? I want the whole thing. Perfect. Y equals 380. So do you have a statement for me, Laurel? It says find the volume of water in the pool 25 minutes after Jeremy begins filling it. Yeah. Perfect. The volume is 380 gallons of water after 25 minutes. You guys are very good at writing sentences. Does this make sense? Okay. You guys are sleepy. You are sleepy. If the pool contains 480 gallons, how many minutes had Jeremy been filling? So what is this saying? Yeah, let y equal 460 and solve for x. That's what we're doing. So y equals 180 plus 8x. I'm replacing my y with a 460. Who can solve this for me? Who can tell me the steps? What do I need to do first? Subtract 180 from both sides. Good job, Viviana. So 280 equals 8x. Keep going. Anyone? Divide both sides by 8. What'd you get? 35. You got a statement for me, sir? If the pool contains 460 gallons, how many minutes had Jeremy been filling the pool? He was filling the pool for 35 minutes. You guys are all rock stars. I appreciate that.